this video, I want to share 8 things that I wish my younger self knew. That have led me to have journaling sessions where I have sat there and gone, what? My mindset has shifted. I feel a totally new way about that thing, all because of one little journaling session. Firstly, I stopped trying so hard. A good journaling session isn't about coming up with things to write down. Instead, you wait for things to bubble up and then you write them down. Even when you use journal prompts, think of it as dropping a prompt into your mind, like you're dropping a pebble into a pond and waiting to see what ripples appear, rather than trying to come up with answers to the journal prompt or trying to come up with things to write. I think this is an easy trap to fall into for overachievers, where you sort of sit down and you're like, I'm going to do this well. But instead, the best way to approach journaling is actually to not try, and instead to just see what thoughts and feelings arise on their own. Number 2, I avoid intellectual commentary. The easiest way that I've found to move from smart but overall useless intellectual commentary to a felt experience that actually leads you to be like, what? I'm seeing that totally differently. I feel so different about this situation from having journaled, is through the use of imagination and memory. Because memory and imagination can carry so much emotional juice. For example, if you have a pattern of dating possessive men, you want to sink back into a memory of the first time you were with a slightly possessive man. And then imagine behaving differently in that scenario, calling that person out. How does that feel? Write on that. If you want to forgive someone, sink into a memory of the moment that they hurt you. Notice your feelings and use them to write down what you wish that person had done in the moment. Number 3, if you look at a lot of journaling prompt guides online, they are very question focused. What I also find really helpful are sentence starters. The way I use sentence starters is I let my brain almost auto-complete the endings of a sentence. So I might use a sentence starter of, I made this experience mean ... And then I let my brain kind of finish that sentence. Going back to the stop trying so hard idea, when you use sentence starters, don't try hard to finish the sentences. Let your brain auto-complete them on its own. Put no energy into it and just see what comes up. I find the more you let thoughts happen rather than making them happen, the better a journaling session goes for you. Which leads nicely into the next idea, which is birdwatcher mode. The best mode for me to enter when I am journaling is birdwatcher mode. Birdwatcher mode is treating your feelings and thoughts like they are birds and you are the bird watcher. You're watching, you're noticing, you're seeing, maybe you're getting curious about, you might even get fascinated by, but you're certainly not up there flying with the birds. Instead, you're watching them pass on by. On the other end of the spectrum from intellectualizing is jumping right into your feelings and letting them knock you over, which is equally as unhelpful. I always feel like I have a moral obligation to remind anyone watching that feeling your feelings doesn't mean letting your feelings take over. So when I say, your memories have all this emotional juice, I don't mean jump into those emotions. I mean watch those emotions move through you in birdwatcher mode. Like the man on the street who has road rage and gets out of his car and starts banging on someone's window. That is a person who has let their emotions take over, and it's usually not healthy. Whereas the man who's sitting in his car and notices the road rage but steps back from it and goes, oof, I'm feeling pretty grumpy. What can I do? That is a healthy response to feelings. I like to use the term facing your feelings instead of feeling your feelings, because I think feeling your feelings can lead down bad roads, especially if you get on like the wrong side of Instagram. You don't have to be one with your feelings in order to let them pass. Number 5, I don't vent journal. There's this quote, we become good at what we practice, even if what we're practicing isn't good for us. I still see so much advice out there that encourages people to vent because it's cathartic. And this is something I do feel like I've repeated in my content, but it feels important personally to me because I fell into the trap of it. Even though it feels immediately better when you vent, when you rant, it fills you with a little energy. Mostly it helps you to practice rumination. It strengthens the rumination pathways in your brain. It makes you more negative. It's almost practicing complaining. It can make it harder to regulate. Literally do anything but vent journal and rant journal. Even though those things can feel immediately helpful, in the long term, they make you a more negative, less emotionally regulated person. Number 6, I stopped following any journaling rules. Literally threw them in the trash. That's where I want them to stay. Things like, you really have to journal for 20 minutes a day for it to work. Or the only way to journal is to handwrite. Like you can't type out your journal. It's not as effective. Or if you're doing morning pages, you have to fill up 3 pages. Otherwise, you're just not sticking to the program and it's not going to work for you. All this stuff is made up. The moment I stopped letting other people's rules about how to do things influence how I do things, and I mean this in any domain, in any arena, that was the moment that life got easier. For some people, journaling for 20 minutes a day is the only way to get journaling to work for them, or making sure they fill up their 3 pages, or handwriting is essential. Those rules of journaling probably make a lot of sense for the people that implement them, but never take anyone's guidance as Bible. And that includes anything I mentioned in this video. Instead, test and try things out and see how they feel for you. Really pay attention to the moment and be like, does 20 minutes of journaling really feel that helpful for me? Or does 5 minutes of journaling do the trick? I always say there are 100 paths up a mountain. You just got to find the path that feels most enjoyable for you, is the most effective for your needs, and just feels aligned. There is no correct way of doing things when it comes to things like journaling. When it comes to things like surgery, for sure, but journaling, absolutely not. Number 7, I don't journal on anything that needs more time. The quote of "time heals all wounds," obviously false. Otherwise, therapy wouldn't exist. A lot of people would be a lot mentally healthier, but 70% of the time, yeah, bouncing back from emotional blows, our brains are good at that. In the same way that if you fall over and you bruise yourself, your body is going to fix that for you. Throughout the day, you experience little minor emotional bruises, and our brains are pretty good at healing from those things. And even bigger emotional bruises or injuries, our brains can heal from them on their own. Obviously, though, there are some things that don't heal on their own or heal funny, and that's when you go in for the manual intervention. That's where I find journaling helpful. But for most stuff, I'm gonna let time fix it and see what happens. I'm not gonna go in there and try doing surgery before I know that there's actually a problem. It's never helpful to pick at a scab that just hasn't had time to heal over yet. The most helpful things I've found to journal on are things like resentment, judgment, cringy, shamey memories, patterns that repeat, any shoulds that I'm holding on to of like, they should be like this, or I should be like this. And those are feelings that really often will come up for a second, then they'll pass, and then I'll never think about them again, and they'll have transformed in the background without me doing any work. The only time I'm really going to journal is if I get maybe a judgmental thought about someone, and then in 6 months I'm like, oh man, that's really still bugging me. That person's irritating me, and it's clearly personal. It's more about me, less about them. I'm going to take some time to journal on it. If I journaled on every single emotional experience, that would just be exhausting. And I think there's something to be said about being too proactive and reopening wounds that almost didn't exist in the first place. But when you journal on them, you can kind of aggravate them and turn it into a problem when it was never really a problem to begin with. And same goes with repeat journaling. With the way that I approach journaling now, usually to change my mind about something and really feel differently about something, I only need 1 session of journaling, which is crazy. And I wish I could go back in the past and tell my younger self, hey, this is actually possible. But when 1 session doesn't do it, I'm not gonna go back every single day and keep on journaling on it, because once again, I don't wanna re-aggravate the wound. I think my mind can do a lot of the work in the background, and by staggering journaling sessions out, I let my mind do what it's good at. And lastly, I locked my journal down. If you've ever had your messages read, or you've had your journal read, or any of your private stuff sifted through by a concerned parent, external party, let's lock things down. People act differently when they are observed. You're gonna journal weird if you have this sense of someone might read this. I recommend password protected apps. Day 1 is good. Or get a journal with a lock on it. Like, be so serious about your emotional safety when you're journaling. For a chunk of time there, I was deleting journal entries after I wrote them, because I was like, I don't want a single soul to read this. And I don't want that looming sense over me of, oh, what if someone's gonna read this? It's a horrible feeling, and it makes you journal weird. If you liked this video, in the next week, I am going to release a guided journaling video. I have a lot of these on my intention community. They're my favorite. I use them all the time. I built them for the intention community, but I also kind of built them for me. I love them. And I wanted to start releasing more of that kind of stuff on this channel, maybe just occasionally. So if you haven't subscribed, subscribe so that you see that come out. And I'll be sure to also link it in the description when it's out as well, if you want a little guided journaling session. And it'll be on the screen so that you can watch it after this. I appreciate you so much, and I'll see you soon.